I'm Shannon.
And I'm Holly.
And this is a Girls Gone Curious podcast, where we talk about things that make us curious. So grab your favorite drink, sit back and relax, because your show is loading. Today's episode includes the following trigger warnings, mentioning topics of graphic descriptions of crime scenes and bodies. This podcast is not suitable for children. Please listen with care. We do apologize if we say any of the names or places wrong in today's case, and for this one, most definitely.
Yes, I am personally apologizing because I am going to mess up a lot of these names. But I'm trying my best.
Right. This week's true crime category is unexplained event. So let's get into it.
I want to start off by saying that this is one of the cases that I have planned to do since the beginning of this podcast. It's a case that I heard a while back that just roped me in. It's one that I will never forget. Not saying that the other cases are forgetful.
Right, but we all have those ones that just stick.
Yes. And it's just because of the perplexing circumstances and how utterly confusing it is. So, what better place to put it if not in unexplained event? In the summer of 1958, a man would get done with a hiking trip he took with a group and decide that he wanted to do another one. But not just one you could throw together and go on in a week or a month. This hike would take several months to plan and get approved of. And in February of 1959, he would get a group of 10 people, including him, together and begin this journey. However, only one would survive, while the rest of them faced some sort of horrific event that cost them their lives. This is the case of the Dyatlov Pass incident. And again, I am apologizing for all of the names and places I'm going to fuck up. The man behind this whole idea was Igor Dyatlov. Igor was born on January 13th, 1936. He was the student of the 5th Faculty of Radio Engineering at the Urals Polytechnic Institution, which is UPI, and for the rest of this episode, I am going to be calling it UPI instead of Urals Polytechnic Institution. It's just going to save me having to say more.
Right.
This was in Ekaterinburg, or what is now known as Sverdlovsk. Igor designed and assembled a radio in his second year that was used during his hikes in 1956 in the Sayan Mountains. Being really good at making things, he also made a stove and used this in his hikes after 1958. And this stove would also be used in this hike that he was planning. He obviously loved to hike and was actively involved in mountaineering. Ever since his brother took him on his first hike when he was only in 7th grade, which was 15 years old, and he fell in love with it. He believed that hiking was his calling. Many people said that Igor was a great person and a great leader, completing tasks with thoroughness and precision, in great physical shape, a balanced character, and a friendly attitude towards almost everyone. He was also brave, confident, experienced, and passionate. When alone on hiking trips, he could make wild decisions, but when he was with others, he had a sense of responsibility and took care of them. In one out of the 16 previous hikes he's gone on, someone in the group confessed to Igor that they secretly ate a can of condensed milk from the group food pack. Igor didn't scold him or shame him, but instead just told him in a calm voice that this person who stole from the group without telling anyone would just have to pay for the can to the group's cash desk when they got back. So he was very, like, calm when making decisions.
Okay. So not like...
He's not making rash decisions. He's not, like, yelling. He's not calling people out for doing something wrong.
Gotcha.
He does it in a calm manner where, like, well, you're going to have to fix this. You did something wrong, but I'm not going to shame you for it, pretty much. So now that we know the man behind the plan, what exactly was the goal? Igor wanted to hike the northern Urals in winter. He wanted to lead a group that would be one of the first to reach the peak of Ortorton Mountain. This would be a 16 to 18 day planned expedition. And I will say, in like all my research, it doesn't necessarily say hike, it's usually expedition.
Okay.
But I say hike because it's...
Yeah, I mean, that's
what we call it here anyways. Yeah. It was around 300 kilometers of wilderness, which was about 186 miles. It was estimated to be a Category 3 difficulty, which is the most difficult level. The terrain was very hostile and dangerous. And not to mention, in certain parts, there were indigenous people also living around there. And, of course, not only did he want to take this hiking trip, but like I said earlier, he wanted to do it in winter. February 1959, to be exact. And this was one of the worst months for a brutal winter weather. Like, out of all the fucking months, you picked the worst.
Yeah.
The one known for horrible winter storms. This expedition would be approved on January 8th, 1959. The group would include 8 men and 2 women. All of the members already had a Grade 2 hiking certification, and if they completed this Grade 3 hike, they would earn their Grade 3 certification. And I do want to really say this, like, they were all very experienced. I mean, they had their Grade 2, which I believe you had to have in order to do a Grade 3.
Okay. Yeah, because, I mean, definitely not like me going out there.
Yeah.
With my flip-flops on.
Yeah. And this is in Russia, so... At this time, I don't know if you still need it, but any hikes that they did or expeditions, they needed to get approved of before going on them. So it's not like you can just like...
Just go?
Yeah, just go, like, you can go here.
Who did they have to get approval from? Is there like a board that they had to talk to?
Yeah, there's like a board at the UPI school that they could, and then I don't know if they had to get approval from like the Communist Party. I don't quite know if they had to get approved from that, but I know they had to get approved by like the school.
Okay.
So, quick side note. The Urals Mountains divided Europe and Asia, running north-south through Russia. From the coast of the Arctic Ocean to the Ural River and northwestern Kazakhstan. It marks the separation between European Russia and Siberia. The average altitude is around 1,000 to 1,300 meters high, which is 3,300 to 4,300 feet. I fucking hate that I had to do so many fucking conversions in this. The highest point being Mount Naronaya at 1,894 meters, which is 6,214 feet. So, who else was in the group?
I don't know, tell me.
Ludmila Alexandrovna Dubinina, who went by Luda, which I'm going to call her Luda for the rest of the case because it's so much easier for me just...
To go by the nickname?
Yes, which I'm going to be doing a lot, just so everyone knows. Was born on May 12, 1938. She was really good at sports, and in 1953 took part in a short distance running competition in Kazan. In 1955, she graduated high school and started right away taking exams at the UPI Faculty of Civil Engineering, Specialty Urban Construction, and Economy. She would graduate from there in the same year. Out of all 10 members, she was the youngest. She was in her 4th year as a student at UPI as an engineering and economics major. Like I said earlier, she was good at sports, so of course she took an active part in activities of the sports club held at UPI. She also loved to sing, take pictures, and was part of the tourist club. Just like Igor, she had a considerable amount of hiking experience. She was also a leader for some of the groups she hiked with. They would say she was wise, firm, thoughtful, and a fair leader. She was also strong both physically and spiritually. When Igor started to spread the news about his plan, Luda was excited to take this trip. So she was kind of one of the first that jumped on it. It's like, yes, I want to do this. Yuri Nikolaevich Doroshenko was born on January 29th, 1938. He was a 4th-year student at UPI studying radio engineering. Yuri came from a poorer family and was very reserved. But he was known for being upbeat and also having an impulsive personality. Yuri was one of the tallest of the group and was also a Greco-Roman wrestler. He was really famous at the school for an incident that happened on a previous hike. While they were setting up camp, a bear was coming their way, and Yuri decided to chase it off with only a geologist hammer in his hand. So he became really famous for that after that.
Yeah, I imagine.
And at one point, he was in a relationship with a girl named Zina, who we will talk about later. But that didn't last, and they broke up before the start of this trip. I also want to mention the way that relationship started was Yuri insisted on giving Zina his gloves during a hiking trip, and that kind of started a romance between them because Zina kind of fell for him at that moment. But the relationship didn't last. And I don't know why they broke up, so.
You read my mind because I was going to ask that.
I do want to mention, when I'm saying hike, I mean they're going in the winter. They're also mainly skiing.
Okay.
So it's not just walking the whole time. They're also skiing.
Okay.
Because I can't imagine walking in deep ass snow. Yeah.
That would be something.
Yeah. Alexander Kolvatov was born November 16th, 1934, in Sverdlovsk. He was a 4th-year student who was majoring in physics. To be more specific, nuclear physics.
Damn.
Alexander was the only boy in his family, and when he was younger, he wasn't the best at getting good grades. However, he was exceptionally good at knowing German and the English language. It is unknown why he knew those languages so well. It is believed that maybe his family was around German and English, and that's kind of how he learned, but I don't quite know the exact details on that. He became a member of the Institute Komsomol Committee, which was a youth organization in the Soviet Union aiming to promote communist ideology. While hiking, he liked to do scientific research and write things down. I mean, he is majoring in
nuclear physics.
Yeah, so I can imagine he's likes researching. It seemed like the group celebrated his birthday while on the trip, giving him a tangerine. that he shared with the rest of the group. Many said he showed diligence, pedantic, and methodical features with clear leadership qualities. So pretty much everyone in this group had leadership qualities. So it's not just like one person could only lead this group.
Mm-hmm.
Like if something happened to the leader or they needed to step down
Mm-hmm.
or the leader needed a second opinion, someone else could easily step up because almost everyone did some sort of leadership in a previous group.
Okay.
I don't know if exactly everyone, but multiple members of this group did. Senada Alexievna Kolmogorova, who also went by the nickname Zina, which I'm going to be calling her Zina because it's way easier, was born on January 12, 1937. She was a fifth-year student at UPI majoring in radio engineering. Like the others, she was an experienced hiker, having 8 previous hikes under her belt. On 2 of those hikes, she was a leader for the group. One of the times when she was on an expedition, she was bitten by a viper. But instead of accepting help from the group, she insisted that she carry all of her weight, refusing to lighten her load because she didn't want to cause any hardship to fall on the others.
Damn.
Many people called her the engine of the university, saying she was always outgoing and energetic, constantly full of new ideas and treating everyone with fondness and respect. People were naturally drawn to her. She graduated from Kamensk-Uralsky Radio Factory before starting at UPI. Zina was a member of UPI Hiking Club and was elected as a member and chairwoman of the qualifying commission of the UPI Hiking Club. Since her and Igor were in the same major, they were often seen together. And like I stated earlier, Zina was in a relationship with Yuri a short amount of time. And it's unclear why they broke up, but it seemed like they were still good friends and didn't have any bad feelings towards each other. Georgy Alexievich Krovanichenko. Also, his nickname was Yuri, but it also, in some sources, it's pronounced like Yura.
Oh, okay.
So I don't know exactly his specific nickname. I am going to be calling him Georgy because we already have a Yuri. And it's easier to separate them this way.
Yeah, for sure.
He was born on February 7th, 1935. He was a good friend of Igor, and if Igor was on an expedition, you can count on Georgy to be there as well. His parents were well-educated and very influential people. Georgy studied construction and hydraulics at the UPI and graduated in 1957. He worked in Chelyonics at a plutonium plant. On September 29, 1957, the Kishtum disaster happened, and he was one of the people sent to clean up. This disaster was when the plant experienced a radioactive leak.
Damn.
Yes. Georgy was an in-house court joker. He was someone who was always looking to amuse his friends, often telling jokes or playing the mandolin. One of his favorite songs he liked to play and sing was I Love You Life by Soviet Sinatra singer-actor Mark Burns. Rustam Vladimirovich Slobodin, who also went by Rustik, was born on January 11th, 1936. He graduated from UPI in 1958. At the time, he was working in Enterprise P.O. Box 10. Many people said he was very athletic, honest, and decent. Ethnically, his family was Russian, but his parents both work in Asia as university professors. Rustam was a man of very few words. He was a long-distance runner and liked to play the mandolin during his long expeditions. In the summer of 1958, Rustam and his father traversed from Frunze, which is now known as Bishkek, to Anjan, where his older brother worked. This was a 300-kilometer, 186 miles, trek in the sparsely mountainous population area of Tenshin. They ran into not-so-nice indigenous people, but luckily nothing happened. Rustam was courageous, hardened, dependable, and adventurous. And I believe they, walk or ran this trek.
Oh, okay, wow.
Which is crazy. Nikolai Vladimirovich Thibault Brenon, who also went by Thibault, which I'm going to be calling him Thibault because, was born on June 5th, 1935. He was known for his energy, inventiveness, friendliness, and humor. In 1958, he graduated from UPI at the Faculty of Civil Engineering. He specialized in civil construction. At the time, he was working in Sverdlovsk as a foreman in construction trust number 89. Thibault studied diligently and was thoughtful, proactive, and disciplined. He was willing to offer a helping hand, whether that be to mend a broken pack or to help carry other people's loads. Semyon Alexeyevich Zolotaryov was born on February 2nd, 1921. He was the only one that was kind of a stranger to the group. 10 days before the expedition was supposed to begin, he would ask to join the group. He claimed that he was planning on going on a trip with another group called Soren, but instead heard that this hike was taking off around the same time, but was lasting a couple days longer than the other. Semyon would also tell them to just call him Sasha, never really giving his real name. And I am going to be calling him Sasha because it is easier to say for me. There's also a strange thing surrounding his birthday. It's said on some documents, it claims that his birthday is actually March 1st, 1921, and not February 2nd.
That's a whole month difference. That's not like...
Yeah.
That's weird.
So Sasha will tell this group that his birthday is February 2nd, but on documents and where he was born, it is March 1st. So that's just
suspicious.
One of the many suspicious things. Either way, the Dyatlov group would allow him to join. Sasha graduated from the Institute of Physical Education in Minsk in 1950. He worked as an instructor of senior tourism in Kirovka at a tour base. Sasha was the oldest and most mysterious of the group. He was part of the 3% of the Soviet soldiers to serve and survive from the beginning to the end of the war. It is said that he tried to stay in the military, but it just didn't work out. That we know of. And just think, this war happened, and he is one of the 3% that survived.
Yeah.
Which is crazy to me.
Mm-hmm.
Sasha was also single at the time, which was considered weird because he was in his late 30s. He also had many tattoos he covered up and a gold-capped tooth. And our last member of the group would be Yuri Yudin. Now, Yuri would be the only one to survive this horrible incident. This only happened because he had to leave the expedition before they finished. He was a former deputy head of Silvercomps for economics. Later, Yuri said that he had survivor's guilt because he thought that if he was there, maybe he could have stopped whatever happened. But when he was hiking with the group, his sciatic nerve inflamed. He tried to stick it out, but it became too much and had to take a sled back. On January 23rd, 1959, at around 9:05 p.m., the whole group would share a train ride with another hiking group, traveling from Sverdlovsk to the city of Serov. In the group journal that they kept for the whole trip, they would mention getting on to train number 45. The weird part about this was that at the time, there wasn't a train that was the number 45. But this doesn't really become anything. It was just could have probably been written down as mistake.
Yeah.
Getting the wrong number, maybe. Maybe not. Anyways, nothing really happens about this. It's just another weird thing about this event.
Yeah. Did they, by chance, maybe you'll get into it later, but did they investigate to see what trains ran at that time? Like if there was anything similar, like maybe a 95 or 05 or... Just curious.
Yeah. No, I didn't see anything about that.
They probably thought there was no train number, so like you said, it was just written off.
Probably just written as a mistake or something. But the group journal and personal journals of the members of the group shared an excitement for the trip. And I want to say the reason why we know as much as we do up until whatever happened is because they had journals. And they pretty much wrote every day, almost.
Was it one journal or like each of them had one?
There was a group journal that like I think anyone could write in. And then they had personal journals.
Okay.
So there was like multiple journals.
Okay.
I will say one of the members' journals is missing. They never found it.
Interesting.
Yes.
Was it the survivors?
Don't know. On the morning of January 24th, they would arrive in Serov. After arriving, Georgi would be detained for soliciting and singing out loud. Apparently, at the time, the guards at this train station said that singing wasn't allowed. Another one of the group's members would question it, saying it was the first time they ever heard of it. But I don't know exactly what happened after he was detained, but Georgi was eventually released. And on January 25th, they would arrive in Ivdil after taking train number 81. After this, they would get onto a GAZ 51 bus and take that to Gizeh. And if you want to look up a GAZ 51 bus, it's kind of like a military
Oh, really?
type car. Yeah, I would think, to me it looks like an older military type car that would carry like passengers in the back from war and all that. I don't know.
Oh, okay.
I mean, yeah. That's what it looks like to me.
Yeah, absolutely. So they put passengers in there?
Yeah.
Huh.
This was after the war, I believe, so they could have just been using that as travel instead, because once the war is done, I don't know if they're gonna be using.
Yeah, I do see that they did convert one into like a passenger bus.
Yeah. Around 10 a.m. on the 26th, the group would write home one last time. At 1:30 p.m., a GAZ 63 truck, which was being used as a log truck, would take them to a community called District 41. And the GAZ 63 is just kind of like an upgraded version from the 51. It has like more like four-wheel drive and stuff like that. But it's pretty much the same type of car. January 27th, they would hire a sled for 24 kilometers, which is about 15 miles, and stop in North 2. I honestly don't know what these places are, but I'm just saying how I found them.
Yeah, absolutely.
This was a ghost town which used to be a mining settlement. At this point, Yuri Yudin took the sled and headed back home. Or back to the nearest town.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said earlier, his nerve pain became too much and just couldn't go on anymore. This was also the first official day of their planned route. On the 28th, the group would spend the night on the banks of the Lozva River. While on skis, they would travel from the Lozva River to the Uspia River on the 29th. On the 30th, they would either stay close to where they were, or they would travel but stay on the banks of the Uspia River. Which I'm assuming they traveled but stayed on the same river.
Yeah.
January 31st, the group started walking around 10 a.m., trying to ascend a shorter way. Eventually, they would abandon the route and follow on the Mansi Trail. And the Mansi is one of the indigenous groups in the area.
Okay.
The weather was worsening and it was harder for them to keep track of where they were going. They ended up going back to or near the Uspia River or valley and set up camp for the night. This would also be the last time anyone writes in their journals. The last entry being, trying out new ways to clear the path. The first line drops his backpack, skis forward for 5 minutes, comes back for a 10-15 minute break, then catches up with the group. That's one way to keep laying ski tracks non-stop. Hard on the second hiker, though, who has to follow the new trail with full gear on his back. We gradually leave Uspia Valley. It's upwards all the way, but goes rather smoothly. Thin branch grove replaces firs. The end of the forest is getting closer. The wind is western, warm, piercing, with speed like the jet from airplanes at takeoff. Fern, open spaces. I can't even think of setting up a labaz. It's nearly 4. Have to start looking for a place to pitch the tent. We go south in the Uspia Valley. Seems this place has the deepest snow. Wind not strong, snow 1.2 to 2 meters, 3 to 4 feet deep. We're exhausted, but setting up for the night. Firewood is scarce, mostly damp firs. We built the campfire on the logs, too tired to dig a fire pit. Dinner's in the tent, nice and warm. Can't imagine such comfort on the ridge, with howling wind outside, hundreds of kilometers away from human settlements. End quote. And it's believed that this is Igor who writes this. And it's in the group journal.
Ah, okay.
On February 1st, the group sets up a labaz, which is pretty much a storage stash. They put things like food, extra clothes, and anything they might need later. Their idea is to do this so that on their way back, they can stop and grab the supplies towards the end of the trip. It also helps lighten the load from them carrying-wise. And this is the part where things start to go wrong and certain decisions were made for unknown reasons. I think the labaz was also to make sure that they have supplies on their way back.
That makes sense.
So they're not using all of their supplies and then they're SOL.
Yeah.
I do say later what is in the labaz.
Oh, okay.
Not exactly everything, but a roundabout of
Okay.
what's found in there. On the same day of setting up the labaz, the group ends up going about 500 meters off course, only traveling about 2.5 miles that day. We can only assume that the possible reason for this was because of the weather, They ended their night by pitching a tent on the north slope of Kola Cycle. In the Mansi language, this means Death Mountain.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, lovely. The group is about 10 miles from Mount or Torton, which was their destination. Now, from what I understand, the group is supposed to go through a pass, which is now called Dyatlov Pass. However, for some reason, they would head west instead, heading straight towards Dead Mountain Summit. Another unknown decision was the fact that the group would set up camp on the summit, or like the slope, which was about a 30-degree angle and 300 meters below the peak. The weird part about this was that there was a forest which would provide more shelter and cover only a short distance away. So they chose to stay on a mountain slope rather than in the forest. This is just one of the many questions of why they would do this, and that will never be answered. The only type of answer is that the weather was just too bad to make it to the forest, if they could even see the forest.
That's true.
The wind was going 20 to 30 miles per second.
Holy shit.
And the temp was close to negative 40 degrees Celsius, which ironically is actually negative 40 degrees Fahrenheit. Which I don't know how how that works, but I looked it up, and that's the only time Celsius and Fahrenheit has the same.
Interesting.
Yeah, weird. This is the point where we most likely will never know what really happened. And also, like, if it's going, like, if there's 20 to 30 miles per second wind, like, how the fuck is your tent even staying up?
Yeah, unless they were using, like, ice picks to put it into the ground.
But, like, I believe what they did on the slope was they kind of, like, dug into the slope a little bit to give them, like, a backing.
Yeah.
I believe that's kind of what they did, so maybe that helped.
That's
I don't know.
Crazy, though. Damn.
Yeah. February 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and eventually the 12th would pass. The day they were supposed to return to Vizhay. At first, people weren't necessarily worried because Igor did mention that they might not be back on that exact day. Things happen, and not to be too worried if they weren't back a couple days after the 12th. Because it is a hiking trip, and they could just, something happened and need an extra day or something. But as the days passed, the group's family and the UPI Sports Club heard nothing of their return. The plan was for the group to send out a telegram of their return in Vizhay, but it never came. Georgie's younger brother started asking questions by the time the 15th rolled around. He got a hold of the university trade union committee to contact Vizhay to ask about any information. Vizhay would tell them that they haven't heard or seen anyone from the group. However, the UPI Sports Club would tell Gregory's brother and the other members of the family that they did hear from them, telling them that a telegram came and it said that they were just running behind when in fact it didn't come.
Why the hell would they say that?
Yeah, I don't know. And once more time went by, more family members began getting more worried. They would all eventually complain to the Communist Party, and only after this was something done. A search party would begin on February 21st, 1959.
Holy shit, that's a long time.
The family members went to, like, they had enough. They went straight to the Communist Party and was like, on the 20th, and it's like, something needs to be done.
Yeah.
So then they finally began a search on the 21st. Many people would take part in this search party. Other hiking groups, including the one Dyatlov's group sat with on the train in the beginning. Officers, officials, even guards from nearby prisons. They even had aircrafts roam the air along with other students from UPI. And even the Mansi people gathered to help look. A man named Boris Lapstov, who I believe was someone who went to UPI. I don't know if he was like an older student, a professor, a faculty member. I don't exactly know, but I believe he went to UPI.
Okay.
He got together with a group and they were dropped off near Mount Ortorton by helicopter. They would hike up to the peak where the Dyatlov group was supposed to be and found nothing. This made them realize that they never actually made it to their destination. Next, they would begin to backtrack, and eventually they would find ski tracks.
That's actually pretty amazing because that's a long time. That's a long time and still have ski tracks.
Yeah, I don't know how the fuck this works because there is some footprints that they find. And then I'll get into it later, like the details and all that. But then, like, some of the tracks, they like it just stops. But then, like, the snow melts and they find more tracks. So it's like, how the fuck does that work? Did it, like, freeze so well that, like, it kept the tracks underneath the snow?
That's really weird.
Yeah. There's so many weird things about this case. On February 26th, after following the tracks, they would find a tent on a slope. It was partly covered in snow. Right away, Boris knew that this was the Dyatlov group's tent. Before the group left, Boris helped them sew 2 tents together to make a bigger tent for them. So he knew it was the right tent that they were looking for. The only problem was that even though all of their stuff was still in and around the tent, there was no one there. The tent looked normal until they looked closer and realized that the tent had been cut multiple times. One small horizontal slit near the roof, almost like viewing out to see the surroundings. Or like almost to like have a lookout. Then there was one long vertical cut and 2 horizontal tears that could fit a person through. And I believe that was all on one side. Not at the entrance. Like pretty much the opposite.
Right.
Almost all of their belongings were still in and around the tent. Things like their backpack, shoes, socks, hats, notes, cameras, skis, saw, an axe, blankets, food, and much more. So pretty much everything was left. One of the really weird things that was noted was the fact that the stove was still in its case, like it hadn't been opened or used. Which I couldn't imagine them not using if it was as cold and windy as they were claiming it was that night.
Right.
So why the fuck was it still in the case? I do want to note that when people were looking for the group, they were expecting to find them alive. So the scene wasn't taken care of as much as it should have. Like, evidence is pretty much basically ruined.
Right.
So, around the tent, they would spot 8 to 9 footprints that led down the slope. Some of them looked to be barefoot or only having socks on, while 1 or 2 of them had boots on. The prints were pretty much in a single file line, not following in each other's footsteps, but they weren't like walking next to each other. So like not like a straight exact line, but like they were going like almost one at a time.
Okay.
And based on the prints, it looked like the tallest one was in the back, and they were kind of stepping in the others' footprints, which covered some of them. So that's why it's not confirmed exactly how many footprints and people there were. The prints would also show that some of the members would go off to the side, like in a different direction, but then eventually come back to the line. Another thing I want to mention is that the footprints show them walking, not running or moving fast, but just walking.
Interesting.
Yes. 450 meters from the tent, a flashlight was found. It was turned on, but battery was out. And at the tent, there was a flashlight found on top of it, but it wasn't covered in as much snow like as the tent. So it could have been placed there possibly after what happened.
Mm-hmm.
Also, a broken ski was also found 20 meters from the tent. But all of the other skis were still intact and fine. There's so many weird things about this.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just going to get weirder.
Yeah.
At first, everyone thought that someone ambushed the group, like the Mansi, or someone like that. But when the tent was taken back to the station and hung up to examine, an investigator was told by a woman something that opposed that theory. He claims this. She took one look at the tent and spoke with confidence that the cuts were made from inside. This changed the course of the investigation entirely. End quote.
Yep.
The forensics expert Turkine spent almost 2 weeks studying the tent, and she confirmed that the cuts were made from the inside. But my problem with this is that the information on the tent isn't as deep as I believe it should have been.
Mm-hmm.
When I think of someone spending 2 weeks just looking and examining a tent, I would believe that they would have written down the exact lengths of the cuts and which way they were made. But all of the measurements were only an approximate measurement. And not all of the cuts that happened on the tent were written down. Only certain ones were deemed important. And what factors deemed it important?
It should be all of them, not just
a
few.
So I said earlier there was like one at top and then there was like 3 or 4 on the side.
Mm-hmm.
But that was pretty much what was written down. Mm-hmm. There was multiple cuts.
Interesting.
Some of them like smaller, some of them like big where you could fit a person through. And yeah, it's like, why not write down everything?
Yeah, what does it matter? And
you spent 2 weeks doing this, almost 2 weeks, and this is, you come up with an approximate measurement.
Yeah, it sounds to me like the school's trying to cover something up, like the investigation, everything,
or the government.
Yeah.
On the same day, February 26th, at around 11 a.m., they would find 2 bodies. They were about 1.5 kilometers, which is about 1,500 meters, almost a mile, from the tent. Yuri D., not Yuri Yudin that left because he's not there.
Yeah.
But Yuri D. and Georgie's bodies were found underneath a cedar tree. They were both found in barely any clothes. A few meters from them laid a burnt-out campfire. It looked like there was a possibility that they had a type of burial style, being covered with a blanket.
Mm-hmm.
Branches around them on the surrounding trees looked to be cut by a knife, but no knife was found near them. This was on the surrounding trees within 20 meters of where they were found. With this evidence, it seemed like there was more than just 2 of them when the cutting of the branches happened.
Mm-hmm.
Another thing I want to mention is the branches were cut as high as 5 meters off the ground. So that means that they would have to climb the tree to cut the branches up there. 5 meters equals just over 16 feet.
Oh, yeah, there ain't no way.
Yeah, there's no way that you have to climb to cut those trees.
Wow.
There was also blood and a piece of clothing caught on one of the broken branches. There is a theory that these two men at some point were actually up in the trees hiding or trying to protect themselves from something. So, yeah. Yuri was about 180 centimeters tall. He was the most sturdiest and tallest of the members of the group. The complexion of his skin was described as a brown-purple color. He was wearing a sleeveless cotton undershirt, short-sleeved checkered shirt with 2 empty breast pockets, with all 6 buttons fastened, shorts, and swimming trunks. Blue cotton underpants fastened with 2 buttons that were badly ripped on the front of the right side, with one large hole about 23 centimeters in length, and inside the thigh of the left side was 13 centimeters in length. He was wearing different sets of wool socks on both feet. The socks on the left foot were burned. He was wearing no shoes. The liver mortis spots were located at the back of the neck, torso, and extremities, which he was found face down.
Yeah, so he was moved.
He had to been moved.
Yeah.
So his injuries consist of, or details of the body consist of, in the hair of the deceased, experts found particles of moss and pine needles, and the hair is burnt on the right side of the head. His ears, nose, and lips are covered with blood. He had a swollen upper lip with a dark red hemorrhage. His right cheek soft tissue covered with gray foam. Gray liquid coming from his open mouth. Most apparent cause is pulmonary edema. His ears were blushing red color, and in the right earlobe it was a brown red color. The inner surface of the right shoulder has 2 abrasions with no bleeding in the tissue. The right armpit has a bruise. There is brown-red bruises in the upper third of his right forearm, swelling and small abrasions in the rear of the right hand soft tissue. A bruise with bleeding into the underlying soft tissue on the back of the right hand. The soft tissue of both hands and fingertips are especially dark purple, and all fingers and toes are severely frostbitten.
How is his whole entire body not frostbitten where they were found in their underwear?
I don't know.
Or he was found in his underwear.
I have no idea. On the inner surface of the left shoulder, in the lower third abrasion is a brown-red color. On the inner surface of the left elbow, minor abrasions are a brownish red color. On the inner surface of the left forearm, there is a surface skin wound covered in dry blood. And there is similar bruises in pale red color on the shins of both knees. So he was found face down, but his livor mortis was on the back of him.
Yeah, so he was definitely moved and definitely clothes were taken off.
Yeah, so we're assuming that we did say earlier they were kind of found like in a burial style with the blanket kind of covering them. And we can only assume that other members of the groups, they passed away or something happened, and so they took the clothes of them and then kind of buried them a little bit.
Gotcha. Okay.
That's what we're assuming happened. So the cause of death is ruled as hypothermia. And it is also ruled a violent death and an accident. That is important.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so obviously he was moved after death. So I'm
Mhm.
assuming maybe they were taking off clothes and they ended up moving
Yeah.
his body to help take off the clothes,
Mhm.
or they moved to where the two bodies were right next to each other.
Yeah. The only way I think that would be possible, because it's not like livor mortis, the pooling of the blood is not going to happen like instantly, like within
Yeah.
like a minute. So maybe they found him dead and then they took the clothes off, so they were moving him, and but then they didn't like put him back on his back. They just left him. And how do you get all the abrasions and all the other things?
Yeah.
All right, lots of questions.
Yes, that are not going to be answered.
Right. I mean, how big are the squirrels over there? Were they kicking their ass?
Yeah, something. So we are moving on to the second body that was found, which is Georgi. So his body was under the cedar next to Yuri. He was dressed in an undershirt, long-sleeve checkered shirt, swimming pants, long underpants, and a torn sock on his left foot. He had no shoes, just like Yuri didn't either. So there was a bruise on his forehead. There was diffused bleeding in the right temporal and occipital region due to damage to the temporal's muscle. Bruises around left temporal bone. The tip of his nose was missing. There's no traces of blood, meaning it was bitten most likely by an animal.
Yeah.
Post-mortem. He was found face up, and it is livor mortis is on his back, so it seemed like he wasn't moved at all.
Yeah. Well, and he still has a lot of his clothes on.
Yeah. So his ears were frostbitten. So a portion of his
Skin.
right hand was found in his mouth. So it seems like he bit his hand and took off skin. Some theorize that this is because he was trying to keep himself awake.
Oh, okay.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Or if he was like in so much pain, he bit his hand to
try and alleviate some of the other.
Yeah, or if they needed to be quiet for some reason.
Oh, yeah. Like play dead.
Yeah, something. I honestly don't know. The back of his right hand was swollen and his fingers were brownish purple. The tips of his fingers on his right hand were a dark brown color and they had minor skin abrasions. The palm of his right hand was bluish red color, and I'm not going into all the details on the hands.
Yeah.
There is I'll just say there is multiple abrasions and cuts and discolorations on his hands. There is an abrasion that is in a pale red color on the right side of his chest. Also a pale red abrasion along the clavicle line at the edge of the rib. Dark red abrasions on the left wrist, and the back of the left hand is swollen. Pink and brown red bruises found on his left buttocks. So there is lesions and abrasions on his upper third of his left thigh. 3 continuous wounds with sharp corners on the inner side of the upper third of the left hip. Dark brown abrasions on the front of the right femur and tibia. Dark brown red abrasions on the front inner left thigh. Edema on the left leg and foot. Dark brown abrasions on the right shin. And patches epidermis peeling back from the back of the left foot. Second toe charred to dark brown color, and the tissue is dense to the touch. So his foot was pretty badly burned.
Yeah. Maybe that's why he bit his hand, because he didn't want to scream.
Yeah. It seemed like his hands and his feet were burned. So, like I said, he was found face up, and the death was ruled as hypothermia, and it was ruled as a violent death and accident.
Bullshit.
After finding the 2 men under the cedar, the next day, on February 27th, they would find 2 more bodies. Going back uphill towards the tent, they would find Igor and Zina. Zina would be the closest to the tent, about 630 meters from the cedar tree. Igor would be about 300 meters from the cedar tree. So he was pretty much the next closest to the 2 bodies that they know of.
Okay.
And Igor was found before Zina.
Okay.
So he was found face up, head towards the tent. His hands were the only thing visible above the snow, and they were clenched to his chest, basically. He was about 175 centimeters tall. The complexion of his skin was described as a blushish red. He had unbuttoned the first sleeveless vest. This belonged to Yuri Yudin, the person who left.
Mm-hmm.
And in case files, it says that Yuri Yudin left this vest to Alexander. So I don't know how it got on Igor.
Yeah.
If it was given or taken.
Yeah.
He also had a blue sweater, a long sleeve red cotton shirt, and in the breast pocket of that, 4 pills were found. Streptocide, which is used as an anti-inflammatory agent for wound infections. He also had a blue sleeveless cotton singlet, ski pants over his pants, no shoes. He had 1 cotton sock on his left foot and 1 woolen sock on his right foot. Basically, it's unknown why he had different socks on each foot.
Yeah. Like, I would imagine they would have multiple pairs of socks on.
Yeah.
And it wouldn't be like that. It would be like cotton and then wool, or wool and then cotton, not one of each.
The watch he had on stopped at 5:31. And we don't know if that's AM or PM because it's...
Yeah, who knows?
Yeah. So he had minor abrasions on the forehead, minor abrasions on the upper eyelids, brown-red abrasions above the left eyebrow, minor abrasions on the left cheek, brown-red abrasions on both cheeks, dried blood on his lip. He had a missing tooth in his lower jaw. The mucosa was still intact, so it suggests that the tooth was lost before the trip.
Yeah.
He had bruised knees without bleeding into the underlying tissue. Both ankles had brownish red abrasions. There was a single incision in the lower third of the right tibia. Many small scratches of dark red color on the lower third of the right forearm and palm surface. Purple-gray discoloration on the back side of the right hand. Then on his knuckles, on the right hand, he had brown-red bruises, which is common in fights. The left hand is brown-purple with brownish-red bruises. There's a superficial wound on the 2nd and 5th finger on the left hand. And there was a skin wound in the palmar surface of the 2nd, 5th finger of the left hand. So it seemed like he almost got into a fight or something. So his cause of death was ruled as hypothermia, and it was ruled a violent death and accidental.
Okay, I can definitely see that all of these deaths could be ruled as, I mean, I get why they were ruled as hypothermia. But there's no way in hell it was an accident. I just don't believe that for a second. I get hypothermia because all the injuries clearly happened, or besides the nose, but of the one so far.
Yeah.
So clearly it was hypothermia because they froze to death, but
yeah,
I'm just not buying it.
Yep. So next, Zina was found. She was face down, head towards the tent. So Igor and Zina were kind of found the same way, with face down, head towards the tent. So assuming they were heading back towards the tent when
Okay.
something happened or they just couldn't go on any longer.
Yeah.
The skin of the face and hands was a purple red in color. She was dressed better than the bodies under the cedar. She had 2 hats, a long sleeve undershirt, a sweater, checkered shirt, and another sweater with torn off cuff on the right sleeve. It is unclear why the sleeve was torn. Sweaters were inside out, which apparently isn't unusual because hikers and mountaineers will turn their clothes inside out when they're drying them or something like that. From the waist down, Xena was wearing cotton sport pants, trousers, ski pants with 3 small holes at the bottom of the right trouser leg, and 3 pairs of socks. 2 pairs were thin, then the 3rd pair was woolen with insoles inside. But she had no shoes on. In her pocket, there was 5 rubles and a military-style protective mask on the right side of her chest between the top sweater and the checkered shirt underneath. Which I don't know why you would have the mask in your body and not on.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know about that.
Yeah.
So she had a dark red abrasion on the right frontal forehead. There is a pale gray area above her right eyebrow. A dark red abrasion on the upper eyelids. Brown-red grays on the bridge and tip of her nose. Numerous abrasions on the left cheekbone. Bruised skin on the right side of the face. Brown reddish abrasions on the back of both hands. Wounds with jagged edges and missing skin on the back of her right hand at the base of her 3rd finger. Frostbite on all fingers. A long, bright red bruise was found in the lumbar region on the right side of the torso. The bruise looked like to be left by a baton.
Interesting.
I do want to say that she was not sexually active at this time, and they say her virginity was still intact. So she wasn't assaulted in that way.
That's something, because I was thinking that.
Like if someone attacked
2 women,
them, yeah.
So. But I'm looking at the picture, and she doesn't look like she's face down to me. She looks like she's on her side.
Yeah. So she was found face down, but in the picture it kind of looks like she was found on her side.
But I guess they could have tried to move her just a little bit so they could dig out more of the snow.
Maybe. The cause of death was ruled as hypothermia. It was ruled a violent death, but accidental. The livor mortis did not align with this because it was at the top of the body. So, once again, was she moved after death?
Yeah.
More time would go by, and on March 2nd, they would find the Labaz. They would find 19 items of food weighing about 55 kilograms. This is about 121 pounds. Along with food was warmer clothing, medical supplies, a mandolin, batteries, a mountain set, and a lamp, which is a flashlight. Not like an actual lamp you plug into the wall. This Labaz was found about 500 meters from the forest edge in the upper sources of the Uspia River. I don't know exactly how far the Labaz was from the tent, but it's possible it was around 300 meters from them. Because I know they did set up the Labaz right before their final camp.
Okay.
On March 5th, they would find another body. Reston would be found in between Igor and Xena. He was about 480 meters from the cedar tree, and he was covered in about 50 centimeters of snow, which is a little over a foot. So that's probably why they didn't see him right away, maybe. Rustem was found face down, head towards the tent. He was better dressed, obviously, than the others that we found.
Mm-hmm.
He wore a long sleeve undershirt, then a shirt, and a sweater, and 2 pairs of pants, 4 pairs of socks, and he had 1 felt boot, which is like a fur boot, I believe, on his right foot. His watch stopped at 8:45 a.m. I don't know how the fuck they know it's a.m. or not, but I'm reading what it says.
Yeah.
On the chest, under the sweater, were 2 shoes insoles in the shirt pocket. 310 rubles and his passport was also in the pocket. In the other pockets were found a small folding pocket knife, a pencil, a pen, a comb in a plastic sleeve, and a box of matches with 48 matchsticks, and 1 cotton sock, which I don't know why you would have the cotton sock in your pocket and not on your feet, or even on your hands.
Mm-hmm.
He had hemorrhages in the temporal muscles, minor brownish red abrasions on the forehead, 2 scratches between them, brownish red bruise on the upper eyelid of the right eye, with hemorrhage into the underlying tissues. Traces of blood discharge from the nose, swelling and a lot of small abrasions on both sides of the face, more bruises on his knuckles, which is also similar, I think, to Igor's, where it looked like it was from a fight.
Mm-hmm.
Brown cherry bruises on the medial aspect of the left arm and left palm, swollen lips, bruises on the left tibia, epidermis is torn from the right forearm, and fracture of the frontal bone.
Damn. Like, the picture shows, like, he's got quite a few, or, like, on both sides of its head.
Mm-hmm. So, the cause of death was ruled hypothermia, sped up by blunt force trauma injuries. Livor mortis was found on the top of the surface of the body, which was normal because he was found face down.
Mm-hmm.
It's said that he was able to move for about an hour after the incident happened, after the injuries of his head and everything else.
So he was probably trying to crawl, or
he could have been crawling or something, because I can't imagine he could have been able to walk. But
if you feel like looking at the pictures, it looks like he is frozen in a, like, trying to
his arm
motion.
his arm is up.
Mm-hmm.
There is a site that's literally dedicated just to this incident. It's the Dyatlov Pass, dyatlovpass.com, pretty much. And it will give you the autopsies, the pictures of during the trips, and even post-mortem pictures, if anyone is actually interested in checking those out. On March 9th, Yuri, Georgy, and Zina were buried. On March 10th, Igor and Rustem were buried. 2 months would go by, with 4 people still missing. In May of 1959, the snow would begin to melt, and soon it would reveal the rest of the group. Doing another search party, they would be able to find more tracks leading 50 meters from the cedar tree. In that area, they would find clothing cut into pieces and broken branches. They previously searched this area, but because of the snow, it covered up everything. And the snow was so deep to even when they probed the ground with the long ass sticks, they still couldn't reach any of the bodies.
Wow.
Near this area, they would also find a den that looked like was made by the 4 members left. There was branches on the ground that looked like to be put there to get off the cold, wet snow. So it makes it seem like they were at least sane enough to make some sort of shelter. But once again, they didn't stay in the shelter. For whatever reason, they would leave it. All of the 4 bodies were found 70 to 75 meters from the cedar tree in a ravine on May 5th, 1959. Also, this was pretty much in the opposite direction of where the other bodies were found. So, like, say the cedar tree's in the middle, and the tent is to the right. I'm not saying it actually is.
Right.
Then you find the 3 bodies. And then to the left or behind the cedar tree, that's where they find the other bodies.
That's so weird.
The first of the 4 bodies that they would find would be Luda. So Luda wore a short sleeve shirt, then a long sleeve shirt, and 2 sweaters. The brown sweater she had on belonged to Georgie. She was also dressed in underwear, long socks, and 2 pairs of pants. The external pair of pants were damaged by fire and were ripped. She also wore a small hat and 2 pairs of warm socks, and a 3rd sock that was not paired. So it seems like Luda took a piece of her sweater and cut it into 2 pieces, and then she wrapped one of those pieces around her foot, but never got to wrapping the other one around her other foot. But that piece of clothing that she cut was found near her body. The soft tissues are missing around her eyes, eyebrows, nose, bridge, and left cheekbone is partly exposed. There is damaged tissue around the left temporal bone. The eye sockets are empty. Eyeballs are missing. Nose cartilage are broken and flattened. Soft tissues of the upper lip are missing. Teeth and upper jaw is exposed. Her tongue is also missing. Ribs 2, 3, 4, 5 are broken on the right side, and 2 fracture lines are visible.
So basically they were broken in 2 spots. Those particular ones.
Ribs 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7 are broken on the left side. 2 fracture lines are visible. There is massive hemorrhage in the heart's right atrium. Bruises in the middle left thigh. So she was found on her knees with her face and chest pressed into a rock in the ravine. So she was making almost like an L shape, but not like a sitting position L shape, the opposite way.
Yeah.
She had Georgie's shirt and pants on. So her stomach contained about 100 grams of dark brown muscle mass, which is often said as coagulated blood, which is a possible indication that her heart was beating and blood was flowing when her tongue was removed.
So she was still alive.
Yes, it's possible that she was still alive when her tongue was removed. So her cause of death was hemorrhage to the right atrium of the heart and multiple rib fracture and internal bleeding. This was ruled a violent death, but not accidental like the others. I think at this point they can't they can't rule it.
No, there's no way in hell they can say it's accidental.
Yes, and like I said earlier, her tongue and her eyeballs were missing. I think the investigators were trying to say, "Oh, that was probably just from animals."
But why weren't the other ones attacked like that?
Like, the animals aren't just going to take the eyeballs and the tongue. They're gonna take
more
flesh, parts
everything.
of the body.
Yeah.
Next Sasha was found. I think Sasha was the best dressed out of everyone. He had 2 hats, a scarf, a short and long sleeve shirt, black sweater, and a coat with 2 upper buttons unbuttoned. And I believe his hat and one of the coats or sweaters is actually Luda's. So I don't know if he took it from her body or something.
Mm-hmm.
So his lower part of his body was protected by underwear, 2 pairs of pants, and a pair of skiing pants. He had a copy of the newspaper, several coins, a compass, and a few other items in his pockets. His legs were protected by a pair of socks and a pair of warm leather handmade shoes known as burqa. Additionally, a camera was found around his neck. This was a surprise to Yuri Yudin because as far as he knew, basically there was an extra camera that was unaccounted for.
Ah, okay.
And we're assuming that it's the one that was found around Sasha's neck.
Mm-hmm.
And unfortunately, the camera was submerged in water, so it was damaged and the pictures weren't able to be
salvaged, unfortunately.
Yes. So also in his hand was found a notepad and a pen. So you're like in the middle of facing like death and whatever something's happening, and he has a camera around his neck and a paper and a pen in his hand.
Mm-hmm. So it was either staged or he was getting ready to write something to...
Yes. And get this, a colonel, when they went and found the body, he grabbed the notepad and he swore, like cursed. And then he said, he's written nothing. But then he takes the notepad or something happens and the notepad has never been seen again.
Convenient.
Yes.
Because you know how sometimes when like people write something and you move the top page and if it's like written hard enough you can see what's written.
Yeah.
Just
and thought. The last person to be seen with this was a colonel. So I believe this colonel probably took it and did whatever with it. Sasha's eyeballs were missing as well.
Interesting.
He had missing soft tissues around the left eyebrow, and the bone was exposed. He had an open wound on the right side of his skull with the bone exposed as well. He had a flail chest and broken ribs of 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 on the right side with 2 fractured lines. To me, it almost seems like he's the one that has the less of amount of...
Yeah.
Like, he has really bad injuries, but it's like 4 on his face and his ribs. Whereas everyone else has multiple everywhere. Yeah. Next, it was Alexander that was found. I do also want to say that it looked like Sasha was being embraced by Alexander, like trying to keep warm. So Alexander's front was pressed into Sasha's back. Alexander was also well dressed, but he was missing a hat and shoes. He had a sleeveless shirt, a long sleeve shirt, a sweater, a fleece sweater, and a skis jacket with a zipper, but it was unzipped. The ski jacket was damaged. It had a big hole on the left sleeve and had burnt edges. His right sleeve was also damaged. There was several tears on it. The jacket was unbuttoned and unzipped. In his pockets, they found a key, safety pin, some blank paper, and 2 packages of pills. Soda and codeine. What the fuck is soda for pills?
I don't know. The only thing I think it was like baking soda, but why would they have that?
Yeah, I looked up and it just says like baking soda pills. I don't know what.
Interesting.
I don't know. Interesting. So on the bottom part of his body, he had shorts, light pants, ski pants, and another pair of canvas pants. In the pocket, they found a box of matches that were soaked. His feet had no shoes, but they were protected by a home-knitted wool socks with some fire damage. His right foot was also protected by a light sock underneath the wool one. His left foot had similar 3 socks, so I'm assuming he had 3 lighter socks underneath his left foot of the wool sock. Additionally, there was a bandage around his left ankle, but they're assuming that this bandage happened before the incident. So there was a lack of soft tissue around the eyes, the eyebrows were missing, and the skull bones were exposed. The bridge of the nose is straight. The nose cartilage is soft when palpated and has unusual mobility. The base of the nose is flattened with the nostrils compressed. There was an open wound behind his ear. He had a deformed neck, diffused bleeding and underlying tissues of the left knee, softened and whitened skin on the fingers and feet, consistent with the wet environment. And overall, his skin had a gray-green color with a tinge of purple. So his cause of death was ruled as hypothermia, and it was ruled a violent death, but it wasn't ruled accidental. As if you can kind of check the theme, the first 5 were ruled accidental, and the last 4 had nothing about accidental.
Yeah.
Moving on to our last body. This would be Tebow. Tebow had a canvas fur hat and a home knitted wool hat. His upper body had a shirt, wool sweater that was worn inside out, and a fur jacket on a sheepskin. He had wool gloves that were found in his right pocket, along with 3 coins, a comb, and several pieces of paper. The lower part was protected by underwear, sweatpants, cotton pants, and ski pants. On his feet, he wore hand-knitted wool socks and a pair of felt boots. So he is the only other one that was found with shoes on. It was him and Sasha that had boots on. Tebow also wore 2 watches on his left arm. One stopped at 8:14 and the other stopped at 8:39. Livor mortis spots were discovered on the back of the upper body, neck, and upper extremities. He had multiple fractures to the temporal bone with extensions to the frontal and sphenoid bones. There is bruises on the upper lip on the left side and hemorrhage on the lower forearm. So he had a massive skull fracture.
Yeah, that's like almost half of his right side of the... Yeah, that's pretty bad.
So like Sasha, he had more layers than all of the other bodies.
Yeah.
Poor people. He also had shoes on. His cause of death was ruled as closed comminuted pressure fracture in the area of the base and the vault of the cranium with prolific amount of bleeding under meninges and brain matter with effect of low temperature. So most likely from like fall or being like hurtled. So his death was ruled a violent death, but not accidental.
Interesting.
Yes. So all of the bodies would be ruled that the damage was so bad that it could have not been done by humankind. comparing the damage to the effects of getting hit by a car or plane. All of the last 4 were also found submerged in the ravine. Luda and Alexander were buried on May 11th. On May 12th, Sasha and Thibault were buried. After all the autopsies and tests, on May 28, 1959, the case was closed. The investigators at the time would claim that it happened because Igor made a bad call. They faced some sort of overwhelming force that the hikers couldn't overcome. Over the years, the case has been opened many times over and over again, along with being declassified and reclassified multiple times. But the only big change that has happened was in 2018. In September, the prosecutor's office of Sverdlovsk region initiated a new investigation. March 15, 2019, an expedition was undertaken to the Dyatlov Pass to test 3 theories: an avalanche, snow slab, and hurricane. On July 11, 2020, it was officially announced as concluding to be an avalanche. So, that's kind of where it's left as of today.
I don't agree.
No, not at all.
I could see it for like all possible injuries except for the removal of tongues, the removal of eyeballs, and they were all found within close proximity of each other.
Yeah.
Maybe it's possible to have, like, if there was an avalanche and it...
But my problem with that is...
But they all died at different times, though.
Died at different times, and only some of the bodies were covered in deep snow, while other ones were pretty much at the top.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm not believing that.
Yeah. So I have a lot of mentionings and a lot of theories.
As it should be.
In Luda's journal, she wrote, "At first, nobody wanted this Zolotaryov, for he is a stranger. But then all agreed, because you can't refuse." End quote. Zena wrote, "With us is Sir Instructor of the Karov Sports Base, Alexander Zolotaryov. He knows a lot of songs. It's just happy somehow that we are learning new songs." End quote. He told them his name was Alexander.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, his middle name is Alexievich, but I don't know how you get Alexander. So he's not telling the truth about his name, and he just says, "Oh, you can just call me Sasha."
Yeah, it's weird.
So there's a lot of weird stuff surrounding that. It is also said that before Sasha left, he told his students this: "The whole world will start talking about this trek. They will soon find out about everything." End quote.
Interesting.
Yes. Then one of the higher-ups in this investigation on the prosecutor's side ended up physically coming to the initial autopsies of the bodies and stayed 3 days. Everyone claimed that in all of the years of knowing him and working with this person, he never did this. Radiation was found on multiple bodies. We know that Georgie worked at a nuclear plant, so some of it could be explained because of that, but it doesn't write off the other people.
Right.
Luda's brown sweater had 9,900 radioactive decays per minute, which is almost double the Soviet safety threshold for workers. But also the sweater was Georgie's.
Okay.
So they took the sweater and did 3 hours of washing through cold water current, and it went down from 9,900 to 5,200.
Okay.
Meaning, how much was it in the beginning? Because she was found in the ravine.
Right.
And that was having water go over her sweater.
So it was probably...
more.
Yeah.
Alexander's pants and sweater waistband had elevated readings to beta particles. Now, I don't know all the scientific things around radiation, but the reading they got at the time was way less than because he too was also found in the ravine. Alexander did spend time in the area where the disaster happened, where the radioactive leak happened.
Yeah.
And Zeno was also from that area as well. So it's possible they could have radiation on them as well. So some of it could be explained, but not all.
Yeah.
And not the amount of it.
Right.
Because Georgie's parents actually kept the clothing he wore when he was cleaning up the disaster. And they had that tested, and it wasn't anywhere near the levels that they found on the group, if the clothes even had any radiation on them. So there's something not making sense.
Yeah.
And like I said, some of it could be explained, but like not the amount of levels that, So the people who attended the funerals, family and friends, said that all of the bodies had brown red skin like a tan. And they also had gray hair, but nothing about the gray hair was written down in the reports.
What the fuck?
So a lot of the investigators and people are like, well, you probably just imagined it, or...
Yeah, of course, because, that's...
Yeah. And honestly, how well was the autopsies done? Because it seems like they didn't do everything that they did.
Yeah.
And I know documents around this are, like, classified where you can't look at them.
Yeah. Interesting.
So, on April 12th, 2018, the exhumation of Sasha was granted. So they basically wanted to check if Sasha was Sasha.
Ah, okay.
So they did a skull match, and there was 13 out of 24 possible comparison points to prove that it was Sasha. So there was 13 positive ones out of 24. This was only one more point than what was needed to make a positive ID. Also, they did a DNA test that was done to compare the remains to Sasha's niece, Tatiana Skolbita, which is Sasha's sister's daughter. And this test would come back negative.
What the fuck?
But then the same exact test was done again. But this time it was done by more of an expert. And this test would come back positive. So then this part confirmed that it was Sasha. They tried to file for another test and everything, but it was denied.
Well, of course, because was the expert. I think there's a cover up of something.
Yes.
There's just way too much shit.
Yeah. So Yuri Yudin doesn't believe that the cause of death was from an avalanche or any sort of natural disaster. And Yuri Yudin would die on April 27th, 2013, at the age of 75 due to heart failure.
So he never gets to know fully what happened. Unless he's the one that planned the whole thing.
I don't know. There's a lot of theories, ideas, and thoughts.
Mine might be in there.
Some of them may be extreme.
Yeah.
And some of them might be on the right track.
Right. But some of the extreme could have a bit of truth to it too.
Yeah. So at first many thought it was the Mansi that attacked the group. But this was proven wrong by their ruling of it not being able to be caused by humankind. Also, the Mansi helped in the search.
How many cases have we done where the suspect ends up being the criminal
Yeah.
is the one that actually did it because they want to be close?
Yeah.
Just saying.
Also, they kind of made the Mansi out to be more evil or bad than what they actually were.
Yeah.
They were just the type of people that were living off land,
Right.
not through technology and stuff,
Yeah.
which eventually most of the Mansi ended up having to move to the city.
That's sad.
But there was a Mansi settlement near where they had pitched their tent. They brought in a bunch of Mansi and questioned them and like hounded them and everything, but eventually let them go because there was no evidence or anything.
Yeah.
So in 2013, Donnie Elchar came out with the book Dead Mountain, explaining his theory. He believed that the wind flowing over the dome-shaped summit generated a phenomenon called the Kármán vortex. This is a repeating pattern of swirling vortexes caused by the process called cortex shedding. This would create infrasounds, which is vibrations lower than the human ear can hear, but can still affect the body. This is below 20 hertz. In a 2003 UK study, about 1 out of 5 people exposed to infrasounds report anxiety, fear, and difficulty breathing. He uses this theory with the fact that they were in the dark and cold, which caused an overwhelming panic in the group, causing them to go down the slope and not return to shelter. But this doesn't explain the injuries.
Right. Doesn't explain any of that.
Yeah. I mean, I get maybe like the panic and stuff, but it doesn't explain what happened to their bodies.
Right.
Next is government.
Knew that was coming.
Yeah. So where they had the tent was actually a place in between Volkaner Cosmodrome, which was a scientific research facility, and also near a nuclear Soviet testing ground.
Bingo.
In 2019, an investigation confirmed that there was in fact rocket launches at that time, but it wasn't said to be seen at the location that they were at. But like, how the fuck would you know? Because you weren't at that location.
Right, no kidding.
They were also practicing parachute mine exercises, which these mines explode in the air before hitting the ground and can cause massive internal trauma with minimal surface damage. Also around this time, witnesses claimed to have seen glowing orange spheres in the sky. But the investigators and others would just claim that the eyewitnesses that was just hallucinogens.
Of course.
They would also say that there was no official documents of the parachute mine exercise at that time.
Well, there's not gonna be if it's classified.
If this really did happen, it could have caused panic in the group hearing the explosions in the sky, causing them to move, and the cuts in the tents, like panicking, just cutting the tent.
Yeah, to get the hell out.
And then this would cause their deaths because of the cold or because of the explosions. It would also line up with the radiation found on the bodies.
Yeah. Still doesn't add up, though, with all the injuries.
Yeah. With the eyeballs and tongue.
Yeah.
But also, I gotta say, there's evidence of them walking, not running.
Yeah. So don't think they were...
Like, what the fuck was going on? If they were in a panic and everything, why wouldn't they be running? Why would they just be walking?
Yeah. So that doesn't make sense either. As far as the...
Nothing makes fucking sense.
Right. Yeah, that definitely doesn't make sense either. Not all of it.
Yeah. So another thing they say is, which this won't explain the fucking injuries.
Right.
But some say a reason why they weren't wearing many clothes was because of paradoxal undressing. When you're suffering from hypothermia, at some point the body makes you believe that you're burning up and hot when in fact you're not. causing you to take off your clothes. But some of the members had more clothes on, and it looked like a lot of them took off clothes from their friends that passed away. So I don't believe this is.
Yeah,
I just mentioned it.
Right. It's good to see what all the theories are.
Next is espionage. Some believe that Sasha wasn't who he said he was.
Obviously.
He had secret tattoos, and some of those tattoos, no one could really understand what they were. He spent some time in the city of Lermontov, which was a city that was closed off to outsiders. This was because it had something to do with uranium mining.
Interesting.
Also, I believe this city was also like announced as like a communist like party type of city where people would gather. I think. Not 100, don't count me on that.
Right.
Something like that.
Yeah.
And at a certain point, Sasha was actually questioned at a communist party about his brother's time in the military when his brother collabed with the Germans. But nothing was ever done about this. So, like, usually if you're questioning someone, something happens.
Yeah.
But, like, nothing happens.
Why?
Yeah. It said that he possibly joined the hiking group to do a nuclear trade off or to get information from something. And like I said earlier, a notebook was found in his hand and was last seen in a higher up's hands before it went missing. People also believe it is possible that Sasha didn't die, and it was really his brother who was in the grave. And his brother just disappeared. No one has seen or heard from him since Sasha's death.
Interesting.
Also, his last quote to the kids. And then his birthday being documented on March 1st, but told the group that his birthday was February 2nd.
Right. Why?
Yeah. Next theory, obviously, avalanche. But honestly, there's no, like, isn't there, like, scientific evidence if an avalanche happens?
I think so. But there, like, certain, like, if the avalanche came through and did all that, like, there would be trees down, there would be, like, all kinds of things. Like, the tent probably wouldn't even be there. Like,
yeah, I'd be like, the tent would probably be completely covered.
Yeah. Since it was, like, basically in between them, that would be my thinking, is that the tent wouldn't be there, maybe even the shack that had the supplies in it, all of those things, it doesn't add up.
Well, and like, so they had skis and they had them like stabbed into the ground. In the pictures they're still standing up.
Yeah, so I don't think there was an avalanche. It doesn't make sense to me.
And then only some of the bodies were covered in really deep snow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the avalanche literally did a beeline for a specific 3-foot section.
Yeah.
All the way down.
Yeah. They walked, not run.
Yeah.
If there's an avalanche, they're gonna fucking run, not walk.
Right.
Next is a Yeti. That's a little out there, but
I mean,
there's like a supposed rumor of like a legendary Yeti that lived in that area or something. And then obviously UFO.
Yeah.
Aliens, you know.
Of course, you got to put that in there.
Yeah. Next is, it was possible that they were killed after being mistaken as escaped prisoners from a nearby gulag camp. But there's no record of this. But the thing is, would there really be a record?
Right. I don't think there would be an actual record of it if it actually...
Yeah. And a gulag camp is basically forced work camp.
Yeah. Interesting.
Next is, was there a fight in the group? Was there relationship issues between the groups? There was a picture of Xena found in Igor's personal journal. But there was no proof of like any romantic relationships between the two of them. Yeah. They had like letters exchanged and it was very like to the point. It wasn't like, there was no like...
Yeah. Romantic undertones or straight up, yeah.
To this day, the family members of the Dyatlov's group do not believe it was an avalanche or any sort of natural disaster.
Yeah, I don't either. I'm sorry.
It's very hard to believe.
There's just way too many things that happen that just doesn't make sense to me whatsoever.
I'm in between like espionage, government, but like also like the eyeballs and the tongue. I don't... Yeah. How the fuck does that happen?
Yeah. Yeah, that one definitely doesn't make sense to me.
No. I can maybe get like the skin coming off the face a little bit if like there's a constant water rushing down.
Absolutely.
But for eyeballs to be completely missing and tongue to be completely missing.
Well, and only certain parts of skin, like their cheek or around their eyeballs, like only specific, maybe their nose. That's why I'm just not, I don't know.
And then a piece of the person's hand was found in his mouth.
Yeah. Yeah.
There was something happening that made them panic, but not panic enough to where they were running.
Yeah. And how the hell does it explain some of their clothes that were on fire? Or some of the like pieces of their body that looked like they were charred? Yeah. How does that explain that?
The only thing that I can explain that is that there was a remains of a fire near the first two bodies.
Okay.
The only thing I can think is like they tried to start a fire and like during starting it or after starting it, they burnt themselves.
Oh, like an accident,
like an accident, accidental burn. The other thing is possible, maybe like poisoning. They talked about something like eating shrooms or something. So another thing that's kind of like a theory is, so Sasha had boots on and I forgot who the other one, but another one had boots on. And no one else had boots and some didn't have socks and stuff. So the theory is that those two men were already outside the tent and dressed whenever...
Whatever happened.
Yeah. So were they in cahoots of doing something?
Yeah.
Or...
Yeah.
Very weird.
Yeah. Very, very weird.
And, like, it seems like they were, like, in a rush. But, like, at the same time, not a rush. Because, like, they were in such a rush to leave without putting clothes on.
Right.
But not a rush enough to, like, walk fast or run.
So it's just not making sense.
Nothing makes sense.
No. One of the questions, I think a lot of the stuff we've covered, but like the date of birth thing, that got me with all the other things that he had. Why did he leave the military? Or was he forced out? Or was he still in the military, but it was, like a secret op or whatever?
What happened with that is I believed he was signing up to be a part of these like military groups and all that.
Okay.
But like they were disbanding them because the war was over. So he
that makes sense.
Went to teaching or whatever he did. But like, did he really leave?
Yeah. Right. Really?
Yeah.
Wink, wink. And then I wrote, this was like at the very beginning when you said Igor was the only survivor, and I was like, why was he
Yuri Yudin.
Yeah. Why was Yuri the only one that survived? And then I was like, oh, just wait and listen.
Yeah. So, I mean, there could be something surrounding that, but I know he said he had survivor's guilt, and I don't know. Yeah.
And so that led me to, why was it such a big deal to hike it in the winter? What was the draw?
I don't...
Especially that time of year where it was known as being
the
worst time. Like, why? Just to say that they could do it? Like,
Probably.
I don't understand that part.
They say it was to kind of be the first to do something. So I'm assuming it was like, be the first to hike to this mountain in the worst weather. Yeah. It was another like stepping stone kind of for them, maybe. Yeah. Also, they might have wanted to have, like, skiing as a part of...
their trek.
Yeah, but, like, I'm sure February's not the only month that has snow.
Right. Especially up in that area.
Yeah.
My next question is, or thought, I guess, is when there's too many leaders in the group, because they're all sound to be like great leaders,
Yeah.
but when there's too many leaders, it's
there
almost going to be a
fighting?
fight.
Yeah.
So I was kind of wondering about that.
I mean, in the journals, like on the site that I said earlier, the dyatlovpass.com,
Yeah.
it does provide a translation of all of the journal dates and everything in it. And it seemed like everyone was getting along. There was not really any fights. Maybe like fights on like job wise, like this person has to do this today.
Okay. Yeah.
Maybe there was some stuff like about that, but there wasn't anything like major.
Okay.
And also on the site they have a diary called the Unknown Diary. In like documents, this is written as Xena's diary. But Xena has a different diary. So did the document like say Xena had 2 diaries?
Oh, okay.
Like why did she have 2 diaries? So it's technically this unknown diary is claimed to be Xena's diary.
Okay.
But it's when compared, it's not like in her handwriting style or anything like that.
Okay. Very interesting.
Yes. Yeah, they have, I mean, if you want more information on this, there is so much more information.
Yeah, like that's what you covered. It seems to be like just literally.
Yeah, the base.
Yeah.
There is the case files on this website, and there's the photos from the cameras that the group had that they were taking pictures of along the way.
Yeah.
And there's also the post-mortem photos as well, and like finding the tent and pictures of the cedar tree and pretty much everything.
Yeah. Very interesting.
And they also have the names of everyone who was searching.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, probably minus like the Mansi group and stuff.
Yeah.
And they're still doing, every year they still do expeditions to just search this area.
And that was my final question. Like, do they still do that? Like to actually look at the areas where they were found?
It's not officials doing it. It's just volunteers, people who want to continue to search and stuff.
To look for something.
And on this website, they do have explanations and pictures of like anything they find. I mean, they haven't really found like anything major. They find like maybe like a piece of rope or something like that. But like that could be from almost
anything.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like so many different possibilities.
Yeah. And there's also more to like, they go into like more of people who have like opened the case, closed the case, and that stuff. But I didn't mention those because nothing really happens of it. There's been hundreds of different theories that have been brought up to like the court, but they're like, they pretty much dismiss it. Like, that pretty much every single theory has its like points. Like, that could happen, but there's something that's unexplainable.
Right.
That's something in that theory that can't explain.
Yeah. It's just not
what
fitting.
really happened. Yeah.
Absolutely.
So honestly, I honestly don't know. This is why it's fucking an unexplained event.
Right. Because it definitely fits that category.
Yeah. I think we're good. I would definitely go and check the Dyatlov Pass website and check out all the pictures and explanations. And if you want more details on it, there's also more details. If you feel like I didn't give enough.
Yeah, very in-depth case for sure.
Yes, and our next episode won't be a Reddit. It will be just jumping into our next case because we
had to throw in some Reddits in between.
Yeah, so we're just gonna jump straight into our next case. So stay tuned to figure that out.
Woo-hoo. Our hearts go out to the victims and all affected in this case. With that is all we have for you today. Thank you for listening. If you have any questions or comments, you can find us on Spotify, YouTube, TikTok, and Instagram at Girls Gone Curious Podcast. Until next time.